I would love to share some of his energy with you, his passion. I talk a lot about PEMF in my world, but he's a little deeper into the rabbit hole, and I'm very blessed to have him share his wisdom and personal experience with me today. I knew I was going to botch it if I tried introducing Patrick with a few of the things that he has to be proud about. So, Patrick, if you could just introduce yourself and tell me, and everybody, because we get a lot of people watching this on a recorded basis. Um, you know, I know who you were, but you're very passionate about PEMF technology and the education around it. You have a presentation as well, so I'd like Patrick to introduce himself, and if you're comfortable, you can just get right into your presentation.
Okay, excellent. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick McLeod, and I've been in this PMF world for a while with PMF technologies. And what placed me into this world was I had developed a serious condition, being cancer. And I was at a trade show, and I ran into a gentleman that basically said he used PMF technology to fix his wife's problem, that she had um, breast cancer that was stage 4. And, he remembered a company that was called Elect Medical, and they were based in Alberta. And they were after him to work for them. But he remembered that they said this technology could possibly help with cancer. His wife developed stage 4 breast cancer. They gave her 3 months to live, and he had no choice. He started working for the company. And this is going back to probably 1980, about 1982. And you know what? She's still here. She's still alive after all those years. And me, when I had the cancer, I thought, you know what? This might make a difference for me. And if he believes in it that much, I'm going to work for the company. So I went and I started working for the company, and did the PMF, changed my diet, did some radiation, and lo and behold, it fixed my problem. The doctors were shocked. They had all written me off, but this technology made a huge difference in my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here to tell you the story about it, right? And a little bit of history about who I am. I was a bodybuilder for many years and competed in the Mr. Canada. Well, I competed for over 20 years in bodybuilding, won everything coming up to it, then eventually won the Mr. Canada, won Canada bronze medal at the World Games, and went on to Mr. Universe and did well. So that's sort of like the preface to it, what happened. So right after the cancer, I decided now that I'm going to live, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? So this was 2018, 1 year before, everything, the world fell apart. 2018. So I said, I'm going to train for a bodybuilding show. And, I'm at 60 years, what is it? I was 59 years old, right? So I decided I'm going to train after having this cancer to show that I can still do it. And my daughters never saw me compete in bodybuilding before. So
That's
I
cool.
trained, I trained, and what was it? In 6 months, I took off 35 pounds of fat, put on 20 pounds of muscles, and won a silver medal at the Toronto Pro Show,
Good for
which is
you.
pretty remarkable at my age. And I just wanted to prove something to myself. And I've tried to come back before, but the PMF that I was using, I continued to use the PMF even through my training. and it made it easier for me. I didn't feel as much pain, and my recovery for bodybuilding was much faster. And henceforth, since working with the company, we do promote a lot of bodybuilding shows, and I'm still an ambassador for health and fitness for Canada. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun living and enjoying my life and promoting PMF technology. And I train a lot of the doctors in naturopathic doctors and certify them on PMF technology. So what I'm going to do, as you said, I'm going to give a presentation, the normal one that I give, so that everyone understands PMF technology at a completely different level.
There. Ta-da! Can you see
Okay,
that,
perfect.
Kimberly?
Ta-da! I love it.
Okay.
So you're going to be my scroll. You're going to be my Vanna White.
Okay.
Don't scroll
Voila.
down yet.
I need to go find a D cup first. Okay. Where
That's
am I
perfect.
going then?
You're not going anywhere yet.
Okay.
Stay on that first screen. Okay. So this way, this is sort of like our thing. We can practice. This is perfect. So this
Okay.
gentleman here, Nikola Tesla, does everyone recognize him?
100%.
Yeah. So he is one of the most brilliant scientists and engineer that has ever lived. He created our modern world. He created about 10 different inventions that are critical to mankind's survival right now. One of them being the electricity that flows through our wires, um, the tower electrical wires that flows throughout our homes. There would be no any industrial revolution without this man. He invented rotating motors, and everything in our society is based on motors and coils and magnetic field. So without him, there wouldn't be anything. He also invented PMF technology, right? He invented laser technology. He invented ozone. So this guy, kudos to him. He's one of the most brilliant scientists that has ever lived.
What is PEMF?
PMF stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field Therapy. And we're going to go right through that. And you're going to have a full understanding of what PMF technology does to the human body once we're complete. Okay, next slide. Just scroll it up to the next slide. No, you just move it up. You just scroll down to the side, it'll move it down and up. So this gentleman here, perfect. Thank you very much, Debbie. So his vision is that, and how he sees the universe, that my brain is only a receiver in the universe. And there's a core of knowledge which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. He's not penetrated deeply into the core of the secret of this core, but he knows that it exists. So a lot of great scientists and engineers, they get a lot of visions while they're awake, while they're asleep, and also in their dreams. And for him, as a young boy, he visualized Niagara Falls, right? And harnessing the powers of Niagara Falls. And this is from his home country in Slovenia. As a boy, probably about 10 years old, that he would harness it and generate power for Canada and North America. So that is a powerful vision because he actually made that into a reality. And even a lot of scientists, even like Einstein, they get visions like that as well about complex formulas and theorems that need to be figured out about the universe. Okay, next slide. This is very small, but the whole synopsis about this slide is that PMF technology has been around for over 1 century, that mankind has been using it. And Tesla was the one that made it happen. Scroll to the next slide. So this is him as the futurist. And he's got a statement here. And it's critical to understanding quantum medicines, quantum, anything that is quantum. As the futurist, one of his biggest statements, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, because that's what he envisions everything as being. He even takes it one step further, and he says everything is light. So everything is pretty much energy. And from a lot of Tesla's technology and PMF, NASA performed over 2,000 studies on PMF technology and why it works. Scroll to the next slide.
Because it rebuilds bones.
It rebuilds bones and all kinds of stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
next slide.
Okay.
So this slide I put on here, it features, see that tube where the person's head is sticking out of on the side?
Oh, hang
That's
on.
what, let's bring it up, scroll it up.
Right here.
That's what Tesla invented. And yeah, slide it over so you can see the person with their head sticking out.
Yeah.
So people were stuck in that barrel for like an hour at a time, or 2 hours. They had many different ailments and problems. So how Tesla built that, he ran miles and miles of copper wire inside of that barrel. Then they put magnets inside the barrel. And then he also ran high frequency and power to it. Sometimes the person, when he put them in there, he put so much voltage and electricity in that barrel that the person would almost turn blue. But what he noticed was when they came out of the barrel, that whatever problem they went in with, they were fixed after, several treatments, that they didn't have that problem, that ongoing problem. So he was very successful. So between 1903 and 1910, he healed well over 50,000 people using this PEMF technology. And somehow the FDA got wind of it. Don't scroll yet. FDA got wind of it, or the medical organization at that time. So they paid him a visit. They said, Mr. Tesla, if we hear anything about your energy medicine, you and your family will disappear. What we want drugs, chemicals, and surgery. Now that is real medicine. We don't want to hear about this ever again. Okay, so scroll down to the next slide. So these are what we're going to look at as pioneers in the PMF field. And Nikola Tesla is the first, the founder, pioneer, leading scientist in this field. So after the FDA came in and saw him, he had to go underground with his technology, right? And he called his company the American Therapeutic Association, right? And he based his company out of Niagara Falls. And what they discovered was that as human beings, we are biochemical electrical beings. And what this PMF is doing, it's introducing a high flow of electrons through our bodies at a cellular level, right? And what he saw is that the human cell is like a capacitor. It holds voltage. And when it's low in voltage, it's more acidic. And that's when problems start. But if you can increase the voltage at the cellular level, the cell becomes more alkaline and it becomes a healthier cell. Okay, scroll to the next slide. So this gentleman here, this is Dr. Antoine Priore. You don't have to read all those notes. I just go over it really quick and give you the main highlights of what he was doing. So he was a French doctor, engineer, physicist, and he continued Tesla's work in France. But the difference in France was that the French government supported his work. They gave him funding. And he actually created a method and a device, right, that actually fixed cancer cells using PEMF technology. Between 1944 and 45, he created that device. So even in Europe right now, they're using PEMF technology to fix many different conditions. And even in Italy, there are hospitals that are designed that use PEMF technology for the treatment of cancer. And that's all they use is PEMF technology. And at some point, I will be bringing the movie out to you, Debbie, so you can see it. And for your people, it's called Tesla's Medicines. And it's a full-blown 2-hour movie that a friend of mine had created from his tours to Europe about PEMF technology. Okay, scroll to the next slide. This doctor here, Dr. Abraham Liboff, he was an American doctor and continued his work on PEMF technology in the United States. But he did it from a scientific engineering standpoint. And around the same time, about 1940 to 1950, he developed a method and an apparatus for the treatment of cancer, which he actually got a U.S. patent for it. And, still we're searching for the cure for cancer. But he probably focused on very specific types of cancer and had a very high success rate. But he kept his research going. Okay, scroll to the next slide. This doctor here, George Lakhovsky, he used a form of PEMF technology, but he focused mostly on radio frequencies, higher frequencies, focused on viruses and germs and those and bacterium cells. And he was able to actually watch the cells die depending on whatever frequency that he was using. So there's a direct relationship between frequency and energy relating to cellular death. He would have been one of the precursors to the Rife type technology. And we all know what happened to Royal Raymond Rife. Yeah. And everything disappeared for him. But this would have been the precursor to the biofeedback type machines and technologies. Next slide. Scroll it up a little bit more. This doctor, Dr. Robert Becker, he's one of the most famous. He focused on bone healing and bone degeneration and arthritis and osteoarthritis and degenerative bone disease. And from his studies and his research, he got an 80% efficacy. And he was so good at what he was doing using PEMF technology, the FDA actually approved PEMF technology back in 1960 for bone healing, bone regeneration, and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's still not used in all the hospitals and all the physiotherapy clinics and all the fracture clinics, because he proved that this will heal the bone in half the time, reduce bone healing 50%, and regenerate osteoarthritis and arthritic type conditions. Okay, next slide.
Thus NASA's interest. So,
Pardon?
I said thus NASA's interest in it, right? And for those of you that were kind of wondering, why is Debbie doing a PEMF presentation? I nag about the bone density, the gravity, the vibration plates, the PEMF, and NASA's into that too. Do you think it's a coincidence? Good stuff, Patrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Segue.
Oh. I screwed up. Wait. Unmute, Patrick. I think
Hello? Can you hear me now? Good. So this is a great segue because this leads right to Thomas Goodwin. And Thomas Goodwin is a NASA scientist. And he had to study the hell out of PMF technology and figure out why it works. And the next slide, scroll to the next slide. Okay, we'll bypass this one. Scroll to the next one after this one. Okay, perfect. So the first astronauts that went into space, he could only go up there 1 hour and 48 minutes in space. He suffered massive bone loss, massive muscle loss, depression, couldn't think, couldn't function. And that was only 1 hour and 48 minutes in space. He went up with water, oxygen, all of the necessities that we thought was necessary to life. But we were missing a critical element. And that critical element is the Earth's geomagnetic energy. And that geomagnetic energy causes the flow of electrons through our body to our cells. And, at that point, they remembered Nikola Tesla and his energy fields, that he was actually creating magnetic fields, right? So scroll to the next slide. Next slide. So NASA had to fix the problem. They realized that if any astronauts went into space, they would die within 12 hours, right? So the critical element that was missing, as I stated before, is the Earth's geomagnetic energy. Without it, within 48 hours, this would be a completely dead planet, void of all life. Everything would be completely gone. We wouldn't have to even worry about a nuclear explosion because it's that magnetic energy that causes the flow of electrons in our bodies and in the plants and in everything that we see that's alive, that needs this energy. Because at the cellular level, at the mitochondria level, it takes electrons to do anything in the human body. Okay? We'll get deeper into that as we go through the slide. Next slide. So NASA had to incorporate PMF technology directly into the space stations to keep the astronauts alive, right? And they had to also incorporate it directly into the space suits of the astronauts because they have to go out in space and do work outside of the capsule, right? And then when the astronauts come back to Earth, they have to do heavy-duty PMF technology and probably a lot of vibration equipment as well to get their bone density back up. So scroll to the next slide. So as you can see, it's directly into the space suits of the astronauts as well. So they need it. And there's no mission to Mars without this technology. Stop right here on this one. So NASA spent millions and millions and millions of dollars with Dr. Goodwin researching PMF technology and incorporating it into all their ships. So from their research, they found out that PMF technology grows stem cells 4 times as fast. It's the only technology in the world that can bring a non-unioning fracture, right, and bring it back together to heal it in perfect form without pins or screws. And that's why, myself being a centurion, that's why we're so popular with the horses as well, because we've been doing the horses for many, many years. And PMF technology in general, is beneficial to the horses. From thoroughbreds to standardbreds, it heals their bones. So they don't have to euthanize them anymore. And the one thing I can assure you as well, they also use vibrating plates in the horse business as well for strengthening the horse's bodies,
I've
just like
actually
human
been
bodies.
fortunate enough to work with both suppliers that create those. One of the few things that are American made still. But they have all the same versions as us. They just got 4 legs instead of 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
Cool. So keep going.
Cool. Yeah, next slide.
No, hang on, I'll back down a
So
bit.
we'll shrink this slide a bit. So, I'm not going to belabor this one, but as you can see there, this was a bone slice that NASA did on PMF technology, so that you can actually see the bone slice. Scroll down so they can see the bone slice. No, what, you're on the next slide. Go back to the next slide. Right here. No, right there where the bones are. Perfect. Stop right there. No, up a bit. Up a bit. You went down a little bit too far. No, back to the bones. The bone slice. You're on the NASA slide now. How PMF therapy works. So this is a bone slice. So that's the same bone at the bottom is the same as the top, right? Same bone. But with PMF technology, it gave the bone more density. I want to let people know that for myself, I've been doing PMF religiously for over 6 years, combined with strength training and all that stuff. But for my bone density is here, I had my bone density done last year. For my bone density, they had to add 3 levels above the average human being for their bone density. So this technology really, really works. Okay, so next one.
This one.
Yeah. So
Great.
from NASA's study as well, they also found out that every frequency does something different to the tissues of the human body. I'll get into that a bit deeper a bit later. But I also wanted to let you know PMF technology is very good for Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's from the NASA studies. And as of recent, PMF technology has been approved by the FDA for brain cancer because there's such a high mortality rate. It's
I had not heard that. I had
Yeah,
not heard that.
yeah, go on and look it up. It's already done because the
Awesome.
mortality rate that everything that they do, right, other than PMF or whatever, the person dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes a huge difference. So
Fascinating.
NASA fixed the problem for all of the countries around the world that want to do space exploration.
Yeah.
PMF is mandatory. Okay, next slide. And it's even designed into the brand new spacesuits. Next slide. So what a lot of companies have done, like similar to Centurion, they've incorporated NASA's research and they've incorporated Nikola Tesla's research on PMF technology as well. Okay, next slide. So what is PMF and what does it do? PMF produces and brings a healthy energy into the interior of the cell, directly behind the cellular membrane, raising the cellular energy or the cell potential so that it can actually heal itself faster. So when I say it creates that potential between the cell membrane, there's more electrons and electron availability for the cell to do its work. And electrons are key to the energy of the cell itself. So PMF doesn't only affect the fluids inside the cells, it inflects the interior of the cells, being the nucleus of the cell and also the mitochondria of the cell. So I'm going to show you a bit later the electron chain mechanism and why it's so important for PMF. Okay, next slide. So this basically is a bit more detail in terms of what it does. So the internal organelles, being the mitochondria and the nucleus of the cell, it actually grabs onto some of this energy or the extra electrons in the cell, and it actually stores it, I guess, in the fat of the cell around it, in terms of storing the charge like a capacitor. And once it stores the charge, the cell can now, it will actually repel other cells, so you won't have as much clumping, or what they call it, the clumping of the cell, where the cells actually clump up together. They won't stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Clotting.
Pardon?
Are you referring to clotting?
Yeah, clotting and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So the cells are more freer to do their work, and we'll see the pictures later on how it does that. Next slide. This is a more accurate picture, so you can see when I say affect the cell's metabolism. So you see those little negative things inside the cell?
Yeah.
That's what's creating the cellular potential in the membrane of the cell. So you can bring in more nutrients, vitamins, and oxygen in the cell if it's freer to move around. And if it's freer to move around, it can get rid of the waste, carbon dioxide, and bad waters out of the cell.
All of it.
So the cell can detoxify itself faster. All right, so that's the cellular potential. Question?
No, makes sense.
Okay, next slide.
Visuals are always great.
Yeah. So this shows PEMF, that it can go through anything. There's nothing can stop it, really, this PEMF magnetic field. So it'll go through pins, screws, plates to bring healing to the interior of the cells. And again here, it helps to get rid of the toxins. So you can see the magnetic field with the negative inside the cell and the positive that's outside the cell. And that is very important in the ionization and the ionic process for bringing nutrients into the cells. Okay, next slide.
And just a question, if I may. I said I wasn't going to do this, but here I'm doing this. A common question when you're not versed in PEMF is, it's magnetic field. I got pins, I got hardwares, and you just referenced two passing through. This is safe, I assure you. But it's a common stigma, I think. Would you agree?
Of people being afraid of metals in their bodies and
using this technology, you're being led to believe that they're not suitable. Isn't
yes, got it. Yes, it's common. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? It's very important for them to use it so that their body can heal themselves properly with the plates and pins and screws.
Exactly.
So it would promote the healing. So this is exactly what I was talking about, the clumping.
Yes.
The Rillo effect, where the blood tends to clump together.
I've talked in past sessions of, the cells stacking and becoming coagulated. And that is a result of your charge kind of flipping from a positive to a negative.
Yes.
Okay. Good visuals.
Yeah. So after 8 minutes on PEMF, the cells actually separate and they become more fuller, more robust. And on the left there, you can see why a lot of people that are sick and people with, when they got any diseases, the blood becomes clumpy, sticks together, and then you're in serious problems.
Yes.
So having the blood change.
Notice this.
Pardon?
Health Canada.
Yeah, we're health certified. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so here you go. So this shows the blood coagulating, and even the white blood cells, if they're freer, they can bring about healing the body faster. But if they're stuck together, that's why your immune system goes rock bottom and you become sicker and sicker. But so PEMF will help you to get through very serious illnesses. and strengthens the immune system as well. Okay, next slide. So the proof is in the blood, always. Next slide. That's the same thing. Okay, so this gives you an example of what the cell looks like when you're on PMF under a high microscope. So usually the cell is completely flat, no holes in it. But as soon as you're doing the PMF, the cells actually open up and they can actually really detox themselves. So whatever frequency you're doing, if you're doing 8 frequency or 2 hertz, the cells are pulsing. They're all pulsing at the same rate. So your 100 trillion cells are going like this, depending on where you're placing the device itself. Yeah. Okay. So it's cellular exercise for the first time.
There you go. There you go.
Very
passive cellular exercise.
Yes.
Yeah. We live
and
in a current world.
Yeah. And it would be great for people that are in wheelchairs as well.
Absolutely.
Because their cells don't get enough work. So this would give them cellular exercise and reduce the compression sores.
Yes.
So this is a perfect example. So here you can see the resting membrane potential on how the cells work. Remember those holes that you saw under the electron microscope, right? Those are the holes that you're looking at. Those are called the potassium sodium pumps. So those pumps determine what goes into the cell and what goes out of the cell. And every thing that goes in and out of the cell, it's based on an ionic exchange. Yeah. So you can see if the cellular potential is right with the PMF, with the amount of electrons in the cell, it's going to be a healthier balance. And it's those electrons that actually cause the cell to open up or close. No electron flow, that cell's heading towards disease and cancer. So henceforth, you can see why this would be beneficial for many different types of conditions and disease. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So this just shows the difference with PMF. So you can see a 6 cell has very low flow of electrons. Healthy cells, normal flow. But when you're on PMF and you're doing PMF, the amount of electrons flowing into the cell is readily more available. So the cell is like, it's supercharged. It's like it's on steroids or some form of, energy or chemical enhancement. But it's just energy enhancement. It's non-invasive and it's natural. Yeah. Next
Makes
slide.
it more receptive.
More receptive to no matter whatever you're doing, or it's more receptive to treatment, any type of treatment that you're doing. And I have cancer clients that are using the PMF, and their biggest complaint is that they feel really ill and sick and bad effects after the chemo or radiation or whatever they're doing, but they don't notice it as much when they're doing the PMF, and they don't have the same kind of reactions, right?
My personal rant on that is you're dealing with the toxicities that are already in the environment of your body. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, when you go through Western medicine, traditional treatments, you're first overloading in toxins, then expecting your body to deal with the toxins you've used as the treatment and the toxins that were already there. It's not very logical when you think about it. But you're working with your own terrain versus compromising that terrain before you're trying to remedy it, if you will.
Correct. Yeah. So PMF, as you're saying, keeps the body healthy, right? And keeps the healthy cells. At least the healthy cells have got to stay healthy.
Exactly.
Okay, next slide. So this is very high level. It just shows how the cell works and with the ionic exchange and through the cell membrane, how it takes in water and lipids and the whole works. So the cell really is it's like a factory, really. Every cell in our body is a factory, doing whatever it needs to do, keeping the liver functioning, brain functioning, the nerve endings, everything's going to function in harmony, right? And every cell functions in the same way. Next slide. So this is an important slide here. So this is about, from NASA's study, that every frequency does something different to the tissues of the human body. 2 hertz is for nerve ending stem cells, for low energy frequencies, like for brain, for concussions, for let's say for Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, right?
Okay.
And 2 hertz is important for inflammation as well.
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
That's a big thing a lot of people are mindful of, but they don't always associate with anything other than an antibiotic or an Advil, if you will.
Yeah. I will add that I did have a hip replacement. And, there was a point in the hip replacement where I got the leg started to swell up. And then I put the PEMF on it on 2 hertz. And within 1 day, all of that inflammation went away, which was crazy. I was completely blown away by that. Because
Awesome.
then it made me wonder, what do people do? They got to wait a week for the inflammation to go away? Because the body can't really heal itself with inflammation.
No.
Okay?
Without time. Without time.
Without time, yeah.
Yeah.
So PEMF accelerates the healing time. 7 and 8 hertz is for bones, muscles, and it will help somewhat with inflammation. And it's more or less the Earth's natural energy. All right, it's close to the Schumann resonance. 15 hertz is for tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, suspensory tissues, like things that people, if they have a hernia or they've got a serious disc problem. But always, even with a disc problem, you got to go to the 2 hertz to get out the inflammation and the swelling out of the tissue.
Thank
Now,
you for
30
hitting that
hertz.
home. It's a common question I get to, not completely related to vibration plates, but it's kind of spooky how similar the terminology can be. But, if you're using PEMF now, for example, and you are in a situation like Patrick's outlined where you've got, I don't know, things happen, you have an injury or, all of a sudden you're in inflammation. I see the biggest mistake that I made using, you return to what you were using before the problem occurred. And sometimes it's a matter of addressing inflammation. What I was just going to say is what should be addressed first before you look at anything else. So it's not saying that you don't have ligament problems or you're not trying to work on the bones, but the more immediate problem, if the inflammation's in the way, everything else is less effective. So deal up inflammation always first to be addressed, and then we can. That's awesome that you said that. Thank you.
Perfect, Debbie. Thank you.
Keep going.
Thank you for driving that one home. That's very
Sure,
important.
that was a ramble.
Not yet. We got another frequency.
Okay.
30 hertz.
Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Oh, yeah.
30 hertz. Now, 30 hertz is for circulation, arteries, veins, and that's very, very important, especially if someone has neuropathy or poor circulation in the legs. The 30 hertz will help with that. 30 hertz will also, if you've got a virus or a cold or a flu, you put 30 hertz around the lungs, and it will actually inactivate the virus and help your lungs to heal itself properly, right? And as I mentioned, 30 hertz is very good for neuropathy. 30 hertz will also, we do it once a week on the feet. 30 hertz or twice a week or whatever. And because a lot of the nerve endings are connected in the feet, so it gives you a lymphatic drain or a detox through the feet because all the organs and a lot of the nerve endings are connected at the bottom of the feet through reflexology and so forth. Okay, so next slide. This is an important slide. Scroll up, all the way up. The battery. Get that battery completely in there.
Okay, not the verbiage. Okay, hang on.
Just the battery.
There.
Try and see if you can bring that up a little bit. Blow it up a little. Perfect. Perfect. I don't know if anybody can see that. So right there, you can see the voltage. That's perfect. So voltage is very important. Oh, you went ahead. There you go. Right there. So voltage is very important in terms of alkalinity. Okay, in terms of the voltage of the cell itself. So at 0 to 5 plus voltage, you're cancer, right? And cannot function. At -5, cannot function in pain. At -10, you're sick and in pain. -15, tired and in pain. -20 and 25, that's normal adults. -40 and 30, that's for normal for kids and teenagers, right? So you see why kids have so much energy and they're nonstop all the time, just running around like endless energy, and they bang them and they get hurt. They heal themselves almost immediately, right? And they've got faster recovery. But where PMF operates is in the healing range. So your cells are now going to -50 millivolts. So not even cancer cells can take that at 50 millivolts. And the cells that are damaged or sick, they go up to that voltage, they've got to come back to normal or they die off. And that is the way it works. That you increase the voltage, all of a sudden the cells become more alkaline. They don't have that fluid buildup around the cell. And it's that fluid buildup that causes the inflammation of the cell, cellular inflammation, right? Inside the cell and outside of the cell, right?
For sure.
Because cancer and a lot of disease cells are irregularly shaped, which is normal. So lower voltage, what's the important key about this? Lower voltage, low voltage of your cells, you're going more towards cancer. Higher voltage, you're keeping your body at an alkaline state. And even drinking alkaline water, all my clients, I tell them, drink alkaline water, before they do the PMF. Put lemon in your water to increase your alkalinity in your body. Alkalinity is very important to staying healthy. And alkalinity is directly related to voltage. Okay? Did I drive that home?
That was awesome. Yeah, no, that was cool.
Thank you. So,
all right.
I'm going to ask you to read this one here, Debbie.
For real?
Yes.
Then I got to blow it up. I brought the wrong glasses.
Okay.
Just teasing. Life is energy, and all energy is electromagnetic. And, some of you watching this on a recorded basis are going to think I'm bat cuckoo, but many of us do not think of ourselves as an electrical being. We think of ourselves as a bioorganism or whatever would be the right terminology nowadays. But it is the way that Patrick has outlined the greater part of this portion. I really want to drive home that, you are a battery. When you buy batteries at the Dollarama store, or you buy or you spend $1 million Canadian for 2 AA's nowadays. There's a difference in quality. And the best quality battery that you need to be thinking about is the one you're walking around in. So it says there are approximately and I don't even know, it's to infinity and beyond how many atoms are in the body. And it says the cells in the body require electricity. When the cells drop their electrical charge to a certain level or become low, they become sick. When we're depleted, as you outlined, when we become more on the acidic or the lower voltage charge, shit happens. The first sign of illness is usually pain. Many of us too quickly sedate ourselves and then take the Advil or take the Tylenol, and pain is a clue. Your body's like, Beulah, I got a message. So there's a time and a place, to remedy pain, but it's usually a sign that there's a little bit more going on. Chronic disease and pain is always defined by low electric charge, and the body can heal almost anything with proper nutrients and electrical charge. And when Patrick and I first reconnected a couple weeks ago, it's funny, the food piece hasn't come up a little bit, but in the discipline world, if you haven't got a clue, Patrick's got a little discipline going on. Nobody has discipline like my bodybuilding crowd, the mentality, because the food is always the hardest, and it can really affect a lot of the stuff we're talking about today. It's the hardest discipline. Don't think I'm not having a hamburger on the grill tonight for dinner. Now we're going to get going. So I'll let you take over on this one here. But the title of the talk was PEMF versus EMF. And it wasn't just a typo, but we're going to elaborate a bit on this. I'll let you talk about this portion.
Okay, so E-Smog, it's everywhere around us. We're constantly being bombarded by Wi-Fi, cell phones, 5G, radio frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies. In 2021, I spent about 3 days with all the scientists, engineers, doctors, research scientists, physicists from around the world. And what we were studying was we were studying EMF, cell phones, 5G, Wi-Fi, cell towers, right? And at the end of that consortium, that big global meeting, we came to the conclusion, we sort of had the conclusion before, that all those technologies are carcinogenic to the human body, that it will cause the body to break down and damage. And right now, E-Smog and energy and EMF related diseases are the fastest growing in today's modern society, where people are getting tinnitus and all kinds of stuff, and attention deficit from the all the stuff that's trying to kill us. And people are suffering from chronic disorders such as headaches, migraines, chronic fatigue, insomnia, nervousness, concentration issues, allergies of all kinds, degeneration of cells, and a lot of the autoimmune diseases. Some of them could be directly related to the EMFs as well. That's affecting our nervous systems and changing our bodies. So what we look at PEMF, like if you're using it on your body, it sort of like has a calming effect. It has a way of bringing your cells back into a homeostatic resonance, especially for people that are really electronic, hypersensitive. And you'll know exactly who you are, because this is how you'll know who you are and whether you have that kind of symptom. Is number one is when you drive away from your major city and you're in the middle of the woods or somewhere else, right? And all of a sudden that ringing or that sound or that frequency or that energy you feel in your body or in your head, you're finally relaxed and you're at peace with yourself. Or even
we all see the memes every day about, go
Yeah.
ground, take your shoes off, go, go be
Mhm.
with nature. And it's,
Yeah.
it's not just a metaphor. We used to have a lot less
Yeah.
health issues, and
Mhm.
we used to be outdoors a lot more.
Yeah. But even if you're be one with nature and you're in the middle of like Manhattan City and you're in a park and you're walking around on the grass,
Yes.
you're still being bombarded with all the
Get away from the
frequencies
city,
and energy.
and a
Yeah.
lot of it is the
Yeah.
densification of our environment. It's not
Mhm.
just the Wi-Fi towers, it's the
Yes.
lights, it's the street furniture, it's been in your
Yes.
driver's license for 20 years, people. So understanding, even though you can't see it around you, how electric, if you understand you're an electrical being, simply paying attention to some of these very common symptoms, actually, that Patrick has outlined. Maybe we're not saying you are sensitive, but sometimes we just dismiss. Oh, I didn't
Yes.
get a good sleep last night, or oh, I had too many fries. And we've become very good at blaming something else, when really, it could be something as simple as, being 5 feet away from your cell phone for a couple of hours, or turning off the
Yes.
router. The body has amazing capacity to
Mhm.
heal, but sometimes you just got to give it
Mhm.
some space and some room to do its job. So
Yes. I'll give you another perfect example. It's so pervasive that guess what? It's in every wall of your house. And you don't know
everywhere.
which wall is giving off the most EMF.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as, repositioning your bed or
Yep.
moving your bed away from the particular wall that has the wall outlets and going
Grounding sheets.
directly to
There's
it.
lots of ways. It's
Yeah.
more about
Yeah.
mitigation. You can't go out
Yeah.
there and get rid of it all, but
Yeah.
but PEMF happens to be a very powerful tool to mitigate it.
Yes,
Keep
correct.
going. Next one.
Okay, perfect. Next slide.
I have a very
So
similar
there you
picture.
go. There you go. A different picture, but this gives you an outline of everything in our environment that's trying to kill us, that's trying to damage our health one way or another.
And many not on here because you can only fit so much on a picture.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot
Look at
more.
that.
But, 5G is, you want to try and get your kids to, not be on their cell phones as much because our kids are like really the first wave of children being brought up that live attached to their cell
Yeah.
phones.
It's
So
not just an etiquette thing,
yeah, because
right?
100% during our studies, cell phones are carcinogenic to the human body.
There's differences between PEMF and EMF, and it's in the frequencies. Very, very different range of frequencies, but EMF, there's a lot of sources that it's the convenience, um,
Mhm.
it's when you interact on an electrical basis with the screen. So use the wired earbuds. There's modern conveniences, but there's minimizing. I still got to do my
Yes.
WhatsApp, and I got to take a text once in a while. I'm always
No.
on
Big
speaker.
no. Yes.
Or that I have EMF meters. You can read your child. Did you know that?
Mhm.
You can
Wow.
take an EMF meter, put it on your kid, and say, "Hey, wait a minute, you were on for more than 2 hours today." And I don't mean to be that
Really?
mom, but
I'm
I have
going
several
to.
EMF meters. So but how powerful is that?
Wow, that is powerful. I
So
like
that's,
that idea.
but it's a simple tool, and many of you that know me, and I test for EMFs. It's never any one source. It's not just the 5G. It's the cumulative effect. So the
Mhm.
more and the more and the more and the more that we're around. So it's just being
Mhm.
mindful of your home should be your shrine, and the coil, the PEMF is a fantastic tool to mitigate what your body has accumulated in exposure throughout the day. Help it shed and get your charge back more to
Mhm.
a balanced state. which is a different number for everybody. Some people don't have any symptoms at all. For me, I can be around a POS terminal for about 5 minutes and I look like I have Raynaud's, but it's digital
Wow.
looking. All my fingertips go white.
Mhm.
My toes have started in recent years, and I'm in a small town. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to walk in with one of my meters and they're like, "Oh, Deb, did you see the new one on the roof?" I live in my community. I take a very vested interest, but I've learned this over decades. Decades. This isn't something, but the meters and they don't have to cost a lot. They're just, if you're sitting there and the migraine's going on day 4, don't assume it's you. The meters are a very easy way to, oh, it's the new LED plot lights I put in the kitchen, or oh,
Mhm.
wait a minute, I left my there's always an answer, but the meter allows me to see the unseeable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy ramble there, sorry.
No, that's beautiful. Or they put a 5G tower down the road from you.
2.5 blocks away from my home.
You got to be kidding. Wow.
You're going to get lost trying to understand the harmful frequency versus the unharmful frequency.
Mhm.
Just think general mitigation and your own health
Yes.
overall. You
Perfect.
drive yourself crazy trying to learn it all.
Excellent.
But
Next
this
slide.
chart is a really good tool just to give you an indication of those frequencies. That's where I was going with that. So,
Mhm.
what your cordless phone is emitting versus your heated blanket versus your, there's lots of ways that you can inform yourself and make an informed decision.
Yeah. The simplest one is, 5G, and as we increase in frequencies, 5G is a microwave frequency. So you
Yeah.
wouldn't put yourself inside a microwave. Okay, good. Let's go to the next slide.
Sure.
Okay, so all life is energy. Again, we can scroll past this one. Go to the next one. So this is another big one that PMF and vibration plates help with in a very big way. It's inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the basis for the majority of our diseases in life.
Yes.
Chronic inflammation. PMF and vibration plates and all that helps with inflammation. You've got to get inflammation out of the body so that your body can heal, right?
Yep.
So inflammation causes joint pain, loss of mobility, abnormal growth in cells, weight gain, memory loss, accelerated skin aging, loss of muscle tone, increased cardiovascular risk. And, a lot of that could be, some of it's genetic, and a lot of it is, lifestyle and eating habits, right? And also, if you got injury, it would definitely will cause inflammation, right? So next slide. So this is some of the things that inflammation will cause: asthma, autoimmune disease, allergies, arthritis, Alzheimer's, cancers, diabetes, and other cardiovascular disease. So inflammation is called the silent killer. It will actually take off about 5 years off a person's life. And they did a study in, I guess, some of the poor areas in I can't remember exactly where it was. It was one of the states in the U.S. where, because it's poor area, the diet was completely difficult, a difficult diet, right? Where they ate a lot of canned foods and a lot of boxed foods, and
Nutrition
it wasn't
deficient.
nutrition deficient
Is that a
foods.
word?
Yeah, well, I guess
Nutrient deficient.
nutrient deficient. Perfect. Thank you. We're self-correcting. You see, we're like A and I.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So food deficiency can cause inflammation. And what they found out was that those people lived 5 to 7 years shorter than the average person. So inflammation will take years off your life based on nutrition and just a lot of things that people are dealing with, and
Well,
stress.
it can contribute to it, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and stress.
Yeah.
Right. Next slide.
And a lot of this we didn't even talk about till 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you imagine talking to your grandma about inflammation? She'd look at you like, go fetch some water, right? You know,
Yeah.
like, suck it up.
Inflammation of what?
Right?
Inflammation of what? Go blow up some balloons. Go
Exactly.
inflate something.
I'll give you something to be inflamed about. I could just.
Yeah, really.
Okay, go ahead here.
So PMF works brilliantly, and this is a very important one on bone resorption, right?
Oh, yeah.
So those little critters that work to build the bone, when the osteoblasts and osteoclasts and those other bone building enzymes and cells, then when they're on PMF, they work like they're on steroids to rebuild the bones. And it's the same thing. You need the vibration as well, and the walking and the vibration plates and the PMF to build strong bones and make the bones healthier. Next slide. So chronic inflammation attacks the entire body. Every part of the body will be attacked. So we need to fix and to heal those parts of the body and get the inflammation out of the joints, out of the bones, and allow the body to heal itself. Next slide. So here, this one is quite an interesting slide. So this is from NASA's study that every single frequency does something different to the tissues of the human body, which is pretty crazy. So it's sort of like when you look at this thing and you look at that Earth is one of the planets that has great magnetic field and all this different energy fields coming from it. It's almost like this is the fingerprint of, let's say Mother Nature energy or divine engineer or creator that's creating everything, really. Because
and look at the dates, like, these are conservative, but I mean, I don't think there's, as far as what people reference, as far as somehow it's become thought of as an alternative, but PEMF and infrared and some of these different waveforms were primary medicine. For this stuff wouldn't exist if it wasn't being used in the medical field, right?
100%.
Very healthy sample. And like I said, this is 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the making already, folks.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what? A lot of this stuff and this energy is already, we're just mimicking Mother Nature, what Mother Nature is doing naturally.
Absolutely.
Created, let's say, harmonizing, holistic Mother Nature working on our bodies that we can control in our own home environment.
Exactly. Yeah. Dosage is key.
Yes.
I'd love to go get some vitamin D, but it's not like I have the opportunity to go obtain it naturally every day. So sometimes you got to fill in the blanks.
100%. Okay, next
slide.
slide.
Past this one. Okay, where am I at now? So here, this one.
Okay, you're going to read this one. I'm going to let you read it, and then I'll read it after you read it.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit there so we can see all of it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
You can read it. You're going to.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. PEMF technology allows us to broadcast and deliver electromagnetic fields. That's your EMF that charge our own cells into a state of homeostatic resonance. Resonance, one of my fave words. Strengthening the energy field of each cell, thereby fortifying and protecting ourselves from pathogens that damage our body. It does so by recharging our 100 trillion cells, improving ATP production, increasing oxygenation, enhancing circulation, improving hydration, and gaining a better overall absorption of supplements and nutrients. And I didn't even have to look up how to say any of those words before the call.
Excellent. And you know what the problem is with human beings and us in general is that from eating all the garbage and all the dyes and chemicals and hormones over the years, all that stuff tends to coat our intestinal lining and coat our cells and, even the vegetable oils that we use and the canola oils, it's like turns into plastic in our bodies and
And
our
even
cells.
if you were diligent and
Yeah.
ate as creator intended, there's all this environmental crap that you're not in control of either.
Yes, even if it's organic. Well, organic's probably one of the best ways that you can go.
For sure.
But with our cells coated and our cells not functioning properly, the PMF gives us a way to detoxify the cells,
Okay.
right, at the cellular level, so our body can do a proper lymphatic drainage and detoxification of the cells. So your body doesn't get that really deep cleaning to the core of your organs without something like PMF. And when you experience it for the first time in your life, right, your body goes through an immediate change where you will actually experience your body detoxifying. And even when when you sweat or when you go to the washroom or whatever the case may be, you'll know that something has been removed from your body. A lot of people, when they do PMF for the first time, they usually tell me, I feel lighter. I feel lighter. I feel like I can move a lot easier, because that's because the cells have been fully energized and the cells have had a chance to detoxify themselves, to get rid of, excrete whatever is inside the
Every
cell,
cell in your
or the
body
gunk.
got moving.
Yeah, get rid of some of the gunk that was blocking those cells. Yeah. So I'm going to read this through one more time.
Sure. Go for it.
So here, I'm going to read it with vim and vigor.
Me or you?
I'm going to read it.
Oh, I was going to say.
I'll read it this time. So PMF technology allows us to broadcast and deliver electromagnetic fields that charge our own cells into a state of homeostatic resonance, thereby strengthening the energy field of each cell, thereby fortifying and protecting ourselves from pathogens that damage our bodies. It does so by recharging the 100 trillion cells, improving ATP production, increasing oxygenation, enhancing circulation, improving hydration, and gaining a better overall absorption of supplements and nutrients. So when I was talking about that aspect of the body getting all that garbage, right?
Yeah.
Once you flush them out of your body, now your body's ready to take those nutrients and supplements into the body and put them into the cells, so your body gets proper utilization of the nutrients and the foods that you're getting. Because all the foods that we eat, we probably are able to, our body's utilization, maybe it's about, 30% or less in terms of the food, because everything else ends up back into the lakes and the rivers, including all the medications that we've ever taken.
Round and round we go.
Yes. So PMF is going to save us, and vibration and all of the different modalities that we use to enhance our health. Okay. And we are also Health Canada certified, and PMF technologies are approved by Health Canada for making a difference with the human
And
body.
in the U.S. also, just different pieces of paper.
Yeah.
PEMF, as I say, I think next to infrared are probably some of the older technologies, but they've been around so long, I don't think people necessarily think that they've already been FDA and Health Canada approved. This isn't a new thing.
No, it's not. PMF was approved back in 1960 for bone healing.
Exactly.
How simple is that? By FDA.
Yeah. My first device was right out of the office that you see on this piece of paper in front of you. I got to meet Wayne the first day. Lovely gentleman, very passionate also about what he does. And yeah, it was. I've been doing this so long with this company that I was telling Patrick my first invoice was carbon copy, and every month
Mm,
I get a little carbon copy
mhm,
receipt in the mail, and it
mhm,
was old school banker stuff. I really enjoyed it, but
mhm.
I was blown away with the production story and how it's made, and it is Canadian made. So not only is it
Yeah.
Health Canada approved, but it's
Mhm.
made in Canada, assembled in Canada,
It's
shipped.
made in Calgary, right where you are.
Yeah, about an hour south of me. So,
Getting south of
you know,
you,
and
yeah.
it wasn't because of locality. It was really the device. I sought out, and I was blown away that all this time it had only been an hour away from me. So I've been with Centurion. Not I wouldn't say very actively, but I've had their easy system. Probably I'm on about year 11, I think, with that one. Perhaps year 10. So, and it looks the same. What I like about it over other systems, if I were to be honest, it's a set it and forget it. And I know there's no such thing as setting and forget it when you do fitness training, but
It's called the Easy System.
the easy system, and you don't need to keep investing annually for a subscription or software. The controller itself is, I'm 52 and my eyes aren't what they used to be. It's got really nice big display, big buttons. It's very user friendly, and a lot of my folks that I care for
Yeah.
on my sideline are not tech geniuses. They
Got kind
want
of a
something
short there, but thank you
substantial they
so
can
much
hang
to
on
Andrew
to,
Shine
and
today for sharing his
I was very
wisdom.
impressed
And to
with
those
just
of you
how
that have
robust
joined
the whole
us
thing
and
was. It comes with a
curious, more
carrying bag as well,
information
so I
below
can
in the
take it with
description
me
if you'd like to touch
wherever I'm
base with
heading.
That's
Andrew
right. That's
Yes,
the
this.
controller.
or
See,
explore some
That
of the
thing.
simplicity.
information
I'm
elements that
all
we've
about
discussed today.
simple. I've had no issues, no connectivity. I've never had to replace
How
anything.
many years have you had this machine?
It's probably at least 10. At least 10.
I've got to get you a new one.
But it just sort of,
I think it's
sometimes when
super
you're looking at, this isn't the $200 to $300 vibration plate I'm normally speaking about, and there's different
cool.
levels of intensity and strength, and this is more what I would refer to like I do with vibration plates, a commercial vibration plate or a medical grade vibration plate. This is what I would more refer to as an investment than I'm buying it this weekend because I saw it at the mall and I have enough money in my bank account.
Which one? Which one?
Right? Sorry?
Which one are you talking about? The Centurion? Or,
Anything with Centurion is what I would call an investment in your health long term. This isn't something
yes,
I've had to
yes, yes,
rebuy every 2 years
yes,
for the.
yes,
It was a great investment, and it's going to give me many more years to come. So it was a well
yes,
worthwhile investment, is what I meant.
yes. And no moving parts.
That too, yeah, man. The other
Wayne is
name on the
gone.
PowerPoint. Patrick can speak about horses, equestrian. I would say it's probably the bigger market that you
What do you
service,
speak
maybe
about?
even or certainly in line with humans. But there's a different line of product for the horsey people. Patrick, do you want to elaborate a bit on the equine side?
Sure. Kim had a specific question. How many horses does she have?
11.
11. What kind of horses do you have?
She's also working on taxes, so we're her break.
Oh, sure. Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah. So let me
Courses.
tell
Can I
her.
get a copy of these slides to my the slides that we went through are actually I just went right on to Patrick's website. So I'll make sure I get that over to you.
The PMFbible.com.
Easy.
Also, let me tell her the equine side. We've got blankets for horses. We've got neck pieces, blankets that you can use on multiple horses. These are like heavy duty
Yeah.
blankets and tools that are used by
Commercial grade
training.
for sure.
Commercial
She
grade.
said
Yeah.
she has quarters, drafts, ponies, and Clydesdales.
Perfect. She would love our technology. I can send her all the details
Yeah.
for all of our equine equipment and
And
technology.
Kimberly, I'm not sure if you're Canada or US. I'm just reintroducing that this is a much higher intensity PEMF than what I talk about normally on my channel, and it is certainly not equine grade. So if you would like to reach out to Wayne directly, Wayne, I did it again.
No, Patrick.
Patrick directly, you can do that through PEMF Bible. Feel free to just go ahead and reach out. because he probably he's going to be better on the fly with the answers than I will be. So feel free to reach out to Patrick directly yourself.
Thank you.
Just a few ponies. And my niece is a horse dentist. So I was actually speaking with Patrick briefly about that earlier this week. She's becoming her own business. So
Thank you.
It's the perfect addition. You know, they're not necessarily in a stressful situation, but you know, it's something that she can add on to her existing modality just to calm them. You know, get
Calm
other
them. Yes.
well, she's
Calm
usually
is
about
the
an
key.
hour, so it's the perfect complement, really.
Yes. Perfect.
Cool. I'm embarrassed because I've called you Wayne 3 times, and they absolutely look nothing alike at all. Just, I think you're probably quite a bit on the younger side as well.
Oh, absolutely. Wayne is now, after all these years, he's 77 now.
Awesome. I haven't personally seen him since I picked up the coil in Calgary. It's the one and only time that I met him, my first one.
My customers see me all the time. No, I'm just joking. They see me all the time.
And thank you for being so generous with your time tonight. I know that you probably could have been doing other things, and I'm sure it was a lot of very good, very solid information. And on the recorded basis, I think what I'll do is I'll drop a link to the presentation that Patrick provided this evening. I will cut up all the mishaps in the beginning and make it a shorter version, and I'll have the recording up, let's say, probably by Monday. And any questions anybody may have that you think about after the fact, or sometimes there's contradicting information out there. This is what this guy has said. That is what that guy has said. Everybody's got their things they're going to highlight, but I think you'll find the information coming from someone like Patrick that not only represents the technology, but can speak from a place of his own healing in using it. Is such a critical piece to nobody wants to be the damn guinea pig. And many of you dealing with these really weird diseases that nobody but our group has heard of, it's non-invasive. There's really, and I'll just double check the one other question I did have. I don't feel there's really any contraindications. Are there?
Well, there's contraindications with everything, and PMF is if you've got any metal in your brain. We don't want you to be using PMF, scrambling around metal.
But that doesn't mean you can't use it at all. That just means there may be areas.
No, not in your head. Yeah. And for pregnant women, it's a no-no.
Okay.
Like the baby might grow too fast or whatever. We don't know yet. Okay. And it's not something that we were willing to play with. Okay. And also pacemakers.
Okay.
Pacemakers, no pacemakers.
So at all?
It affects magnetic fields.
Okay. And that makes sense.
No
what I will point out is contras to me are always an indication. They're an indication to check more. There's always exceptions to rules. Science evolves. So
workarounds.
Sorry?
Workarounds.
There's always ways to get creative. So if you do have a known contraindication, I don't want you to just turn the page or scroll along. Get into a conversation, reach out to Patrick, because maybe there are exceptions. Maybe this is something you finally want to do, and then you read, I have metal shavings in my left toe. Don't assume. Explore further.
Yes. Thank you. Very well put, Debbie.
What about good old joint replacements? I mean, you just mentioned you have a hip replacement.
Joint replacement. It's the best thing ever.
So we're talking specific metals, not all metals, correct?
What's that? Sorry.
Any metal in your body doesn't mean you can't use it. Certain metals, like if you have something in the brain, but there's nothing wrong with using it with hardware in your body.
No, it'll help it to heal. I've had the #1 back surgeon or back specialist in the world that had a hip replacement that went bad, right? And he had to use our PMF to fix it. And he couldn't thank me enough that it did the trick and fixed him.
How validating for you.
Yes.
Right on. You said it so eloquently earlier on, and I'll shut up after this, Patrick. You're simply hacking into Mother Nature's frequencies. Again, if we could spend 8 to 10 hours a day working with her hand in hand all day, it'd be great. But we put too much concrete jungle and other things out there. But PEMF, vibration plates, whatever you modality, there's ways to hack into the healing frequencies that Mother Nature offers. And I just love how you said that. I might start incorporating that more.
Absolutely. Take it.
But it's a hack. It's a biohack if you have to put a label on it. And again, it's probably one of the technologies that more people can use, regardless of what your baseline or, you know, you're falling right out of line. There's nobody I've tried PEMF on that's been afraid of it or scared of it. It's a different experience than the physical mechanics of vibration plates.
Yes, 100%. Perfect.
Right on.